Hello, everyone. So, a different energy is going to be coming off of me while I speak today, just because let's just say there's been a lot happening. And it's almost like it's time. When I was 22, and if you're new to my channel, welcome. When I was 22, I had contact. And it became very clear to me at the time that I was in telepathic communication with a group of beings. I even felt different. I felt like I was on a different density of Earth. So Earth has many densities. To me, those are different dimensions. We're all accessing the fifth dimension right now, if you're watching this video, consciousness wise, but it doesn't mean that you're feeling yourself in a fourth or fifth density. So that happened to me when I was 22. This was 14 years ago. I'm 36 now. And I was placed in a psych ward because it was just too much. And I don't know if it was too much for me, but it was certainly too much for the people around me. And I was too young to understand what was happening. So I probably took on a lot of people's fears and I ended up in a loony bin. And I spent a lot of my 20s in psych wards. I'm going to put my phone on Do Not Disturb. I spent a lot of time, a lot of my 20s in psych wards because when they would inject me with these very heavy duty meds, my abilities switched off. And I knew that I had uncovered something that was revolutionary. I knew that I wasn't the only one. I knew that a lot of the people in the hospital with me had also unveiled a lot of why we're here as a human species, but we're actually not human. We are multidimensional beings. We are the ground crew. And we're here to have contact with other beings so that we can awaken each other. But I'll get into that in a minute. Anyways, I'm not going to make this story too long, but I was then put on heavy meds for 5 years, and it wasn't until the age of 27 that I had a sudden Kundalini awakening, what I know to have been a walk-in experience. So if you guys don't know what a walk-in is, it's when you don't want to play the game anymore. You're like, I'm done. I'm out of here. And I was that miserable as a person. I was always despondent, in low spirits. I was always depressed. I just didn't want to be here anymore. And I remember that one night I went into the closet to meditate, and I had a roommate at the time, and I said, hey, I'm just going to try meditating. Now, bear in mind, when I was 22 and the veil was completely pulled back, I tapped into the full spectrum of my abilities, telekinesis and psychokinesis and telepathy and all of these things. It's just that I got there so abruptly that it was too much. Again, it was too much information either for me to process or based upon the surrounding or the atmosphere that I had. But I know that was intended that way. And pardon me if I'm speaking differently. It's just there's been a lot going on, so I'm in a different space right now. I've been in communication with a group. I'm calling them a group right now. They don't have a name, and they don't really want a name, but they're definitely ETs that are working with humanity. So 27, so fast forward to 27, I have this sudden Kundalini awakening. I feel the snake moving up the base of my spine, and then I shot into the cosmos. And next thing you know, I'm thrown off my chair onto the floor, and this being said to me, you need to go in the kitchen now because you don't have space for what we need to do. We need more room. And I ended up in very advanced yoga poses. And I had like this ancient yogi beside me, moving my body for me. And then from there were a series of events. Like every single time that I would meditate, I would either do mudras or my head would start to go round and round, or I would start buzzing like a bee. And I always felt different vibrations. And I've been awake officially awake, I want to say, since 2011. But the first time I tapped into those abilities was in 2006. Okay, that's when I knew there was something more than us. That's when I knew that we're connected to something way bigger than just me or you. It's something that's immense. It's massive. So from the age of 22 to 27, I was miserable, but I kept going to the gym because I felt like if I didn't go to the gym, I wouldn't be able to be kept afloat. Like I had nothing left to hang on to, nothing. And the night that I went into my closet to meditate, I said, please, like, show me something, give me something. And I believe that I've had many lifetimes doing this type of work. So I called in fragments. I called in that remembrance. And that's how the Kundalini shot up. Okay. I felt like there were 100 angels around me hugging me that night. And I started crying. And my life changed overnight from that point on. So the details of what went on after that, like all the out-of-body experiences, don't really matter right now for this video transmission. But yes, now I know that they were angels from one perspective, but it was more that there was a walk-in, there was a transfer of consciousness that was successful. So what I perceived to be angels hugging me at the time, I think was just like an electrical current or an electrical success, if you will, of one consciousness transferring into this body. And I swear to you, I haven't been the same guy since that day. I started being nice to people. I used to be pretty mean overnight. And I had to clean up all the mess, like this hot mess that the previous Phil had created, which is okay. That's fine. My previous Phil was a singer. That's all I lived for. I was obsessed with music. If you ask me to sing, I still have the skills, but I have no desire. It doesn't feel like my life. That's when you know you've had a walk-in experience. Like you can do all the things that you used to do, but it's not you anymore. So you don't have an affinity for them. You don't feel a connection to them. Anyways, I was really, really over the moon when I had my Kundalini awakening because I'm like, oh my God, like I'm back. Like I can start working with this again, but from a healthy place. When I was 22, I smoked weed, and I think that's what kind of sent me over the edge, if you will. And it was time, but it wasn't time. Like it was, but it wasn't. And when I smoked weed at 22, that one time I stayed high for like 30 days until I was thrown in a hospital. So I was connected to a completely different dimension, 100% telepathic, 110% telepathic, with mostly humans. At the time, I didn't put two and two together that they were other ETs, okay? Because again, I was too young to be able to hold all of that light in my body. And when you don't have the capacity or the gigabytes, what happens is you're going to get swept up and lose your footing to this reality. And that's what happened to me. But again, looking back, I can see that if I had been surrounded by shamans, because shamans told me that I was a shaman, and they said that I had been initiated at the time to become a person who can alchemize and retrieve vibrational prescriptions for people, medicine. It's vibrational medicine. So I'm a shaman. Shamans told me that that was my initiation. It wasn't done by shamans, physical shamans, but by other ETs and angels and so on. At the time, I didn't know all this. I think if I had been surrounded by people like that, then the timeline would have looked a lot different than what it did. But I've forgiven all of it. Like I've forgiven my family, I've forgiven myself, all of it. And now I can see that it was a precursor to what was to come. I can see that they wanted to, they being the group of ETs. And the reason I'm saying the group and not my group is because you all have a group of ETs that are trying to contact you. Every single one of you. All right? And I remember 2 years ago, I was listening to this woman who's a spiritual teacher, and she said there's no such thing as other guides. Once you become unified, you become all of them. And something about that statement, like if you talk about you're hearing a message from a guide, something about that statement really was off-putting to me. It left a bad, like sour taste in my mouth because I respected this teacher a lot, and I believe that she is unified. I believe that she's ascended within her body, within her individualized structure. But to try to discredit other people's experiences left a bad taste in my mouth because I do believe in mediums. I believe there are people who are in communication with the other side, whether that be discarnate entities or family members or even dogs or other beings. So when she said that, something in my system went, no, like she's trying to put it in a box, and trying to make one thing true creates separation. Meaning if you think that your truth is the only truth, that creates division in the universe. And for a while it needled me. Like I was really bent out of shape because I wanted to believe her. And at the same time, I couldn't be in agreement with what she was saying. Like there are other beings in this universe. I was talking to my friend Liara about this. Hi, Liara. I feel like you're watching right now. I was talking about this with my friend Liara. Like we were not given this pineal gland, which is a telepathic device. Essentially, it's a transducer. It can transmit light codes or frequencies, or it can be contacted. Why would we have a telepathic device in our brain, like this crystal technology, if not to communicate with other life forms, right? So everything that teacher said just kind of threw me off, because I believed her in her experience, meaning she's seeing the universe through her eyes, and yet there's so much more going on, right? So much more than meets the naked eye. There are people who are contactees. I'm officially one now. There are people who go on ships. I have not physically been on ships. When I meditate at night, I have very sophisticated technologies through magic, through these different technologies that other beings have transferred into me. Another way to put it is like I've unlocked more of my DNA, so I can bend energy fields. I can stabilize grids. I can stabilize solar systems. These are all real things. There was a point to saying this. Anyways, I have these abilities, but it doesn't negate other people's stuff, right? Like everyone's experiencing their own disclosure, how they're supposed to. But anyways, I think I lost track there. I don't know. Anyways, there's going to be a different energy that is brought through me, because I'm not really in a position to speak right now, because I'm being contacted all day long. Now, when this teacher said that, it threw me off, and I was like, that doesn't resonate as truth. It is true, but it's not the entire truth. We have a telepathic device in our brain to be able to contact other beings and to have other beings contact us. Are they parallel selves? Yes, but it's more than that. It's not just your other fragments or your other dimensional selves. It's an infinite amount of life forms that exist in the universe. So now I know, and ever since I've been in touch with this group of ETs, they told me the reason why you didn't agree with her is because you were being led to this, to contact with us. So we did not want you to agree with her, because we needed you to continue to believe in extraterrestrials so that we can make contact with you. And I could have very easily closed the lid and said that doesn't exist. It's all internal, which is true. It's all internal in the sense that you have to reach a certain frequency within your body, within your physical structure, in order to have other beings be able to contact you. And you also have to ask them to contact you. So they showed me that all of these years of going out at night and working with my energy, my Merlin energy, and sending out signals, right? I was getting downloads all the time, and I was able to teleport and levitate kinetically into other dimensions. But it's different when you actually receive that contact fully. Like 3 days ago, they fully contacted me, and they reminded me as to why I was here, right? Like I've been getting messages from spirit guides and angels. I've been able to see people's fields and scan their aura. My third eye's open. All of that stuff was true. But up to 3 days ago, I thought, well, what I'm here to do on this planet is to help people, individuals or groups, clear their beliefs so that they can create an incredible reality for themselves, right? I didn't put two and two together that the reason that we're clearing beliefs is so that we can eventually have contact from ET groups. Like, I didn't put two and two together. I thought, I'm here to help you alter your perception. I'm here to help you uninstall programs. I'm here to help you decongest your vibratory field or flush it out and help you unify and purify so that you can create an exceptional reality for yourself, right? But what they said is that's only half of it. The other half is that you're doing all of that for the sake of being contacted by ETs so that there can be disclosure. And they told me that it wasn't until 2 weeks ago that I said, show yourselves, right? Before I became them, I could shapeshift into them, I could travel to other dimensions, but I never specifically asked, show yourselves. And even though they haven't physically shown themselves, a few days ago, they came in, and all day long from 11 a.m. to midnight, they were downloading everything into me. And they're doing it all day long right now. I don't know if I'm going to go on these ships physically. They showed me that I've been on them astrally every time I've meditated. But I'm asking for that now. And I don't know if that's going to happen. I'm okay. I'm okay either way. I understand why this has happened. Okay, this is something else they told me today. They said that, so let's go back to when I was 7. When I was 7, my family is from Egypt, so we would travel to Egypt every summer. That's where I spent my summers. And one night, a very traumatizing, petrifying event happened to me. In the middle of the night, a burglar came into our home. It was our summer house in Egypt, and I was asleep. And this person was in our home stealing things. And when we woke up at 5 a.m., the police was there. And I remember being on the floor shaking and trembling, holding my mom's leg. And I believe that was my psychic opening. My initial psychic opening was at 7 years old. But it was an opening into darkness, which stands to reason that I'm really good at seeing people's darkness to then help defrag their system. Or another way to say defrag. You guys know what defragmentation is, right? Like, okay. So that was a very traumatizing event for me when I was young. And I started sleeping with butcher knives under my pillow. And I kind of wish my mom put me through therapy at the time because it marked me, it scarred me. But I understand now why I wasn't meant to. The group said to me today that they had to take that fragment away, right? Anytime you have a traumatic event, you kind of lose a part of yourself. You get destabilized, and then there's a part of you that gets taken away. And they said that they allowed that to happen because that would give me the appetite or the hunger for wanting to seek something greater than myself. Another way to see it is to find myself again. So a lot of you who have been molested, a lot of you who have been abused, a lot of you who have been raped, all of these things, usually there's a fragment that, and I just got this information today, the fragment gets taken away from you because it's not time for contact yet. It's not time for contact. And this is done in a very calculated way where you seek something your whole life. And as you're seeking it, which takes the shame away, right? There's nothing wrong with being externally focused because you're kind of looking for something. What am I looking? And as you're doing that, you're growing. You're like expanding. Like your thirst for a deeper meaning grows. So when it's time, it's time. And so last night I was in bed and they said to me, we need you to forgive what happened when you were 7. Because as humans, we tend to file things away or we put them in a fridge somewhere or in storage somewhere, and we act like it doesn't exist. And we sorry, my computer just went off. We file things away, right? We put them in a box and we close that box and we act like it never existed. And that serves us, right? Because we need to focus on different things. Like I needed to focus on meditation. I needed to focus on all these other things to build my body from the ground up, to have an anchor on this reality. Because if you're not anchored, you're not ready for contact. If you still have limiting beliefs, you're not ready for contact. They showed me that. I didn't know that before. They showed me that they're clearing the pipeline so that contact can happen. And prior to this video, everything I was teaching was about clearing beliefs and reshaping your reality by altering your perception about reality. But it's all for the purpose of clearing the pipeline so that they can make contact with you. So last night they said, you haven't forgiven that incident, and we need you to make amends with that. And they said it's not going to happen in one night. Prior to 7 years old, I could lucid dream deliberately every night. I remember turning into a Care Bear and shooting energy out of myself. Like I've always had these abilities. And then after that event, after that traumatizing event, my ability to lucid dream ceased. But they said they needed that to happen because that's what allowed me to eventually tap into my Merlin abilities, to my psychokinetic, telekinetic abilities of being able to shoot out of my body by using very precise techniques, very sophisticated technologies. Because without a hunger for something more, then you're not really seeking anything. Does that make sense? So you almost need to seek something in order to develop these abilities. So last night I was in bed and they said, we need you to place yourself in that scene of your history and imagine that the burglar is in your home and that you're forgiving him in real time. And I was able to come to a place of love within myself, and they showed me that that's the fragment that I need to bring back in. It's all part of it. In other words, there's going to be more contact, right? Because I had contact a few days ago as a result of meditating and saying, show yourselves. But first I had to increase my bodily frequency and then fire off these frequencies to receive a response. And now they're starting to show me how everything connects. They showed me that, oh, that event at 7 years old needed to happen. Oh, that teacher that threw you off, that said that extraterrestrial life didn't really exist. She didn't say that verbatim, but she alluded to the fact that it's all within us. Like you're just unifying from within, and then you become the Christ, which is true, but that's only the tip of the iceberg. There are extraterrestrial groups, different ET races that are wanting to make contact. Why would they want to make contact? Because once we start to see each other as having been contacted, like once you've been contacted, you could recognize and identify other people who have been contacted, then it's like this wave, this catalytic wave that starts to awaken everyone else. And all this stuff about creating your own reality is still relevant, but there's a way bigger picture, which is that we're here to remember that we are here to unify on all accounts, on all levels, and become a galactic society. We're here to become a galactic society. Again, they showed me that teacher was right, but she's only living in her own experience as a unified being. And being a unified being is validating every experience. And they reiterated, why would we put a telepathic device in your brain? Well, you did that actually, because we are the ground crew. We are these aliens who have decided to incarnate so that we can spread this energy. which is why we're all stationed in different places and areas. But why would you have this telepathic device if not to contact us and for us to contact you once you ask for it? And then we can help give you more messages and help you integrate more technologies. So all these nights of like meditating and working with my energy and wielding this power, I was kind of breaking through all these paradigms so that I can eventually have that contact. Now, it doesn't mean I'm going to stop meditating. If anything, I'm ready to install more technologies into myself. I'm trying to be healthier, by the way. Yeah. And so, what's this leading me to now? Where are we going? All right, so in your life, there are fragments that get taken away from you because that drives you, right? Like if you never got love from your father, if you were raped, if you were molested, there's something in you that hungers for deeper meaning. Like, why did this happen to me? Why? And just by asking those questions, you're amplifying your energy field. You're amplifying your energy field. And eventually you want to get to the place of like you awaken and you start going within. Because once you go within and you don't get lost in the shuffle of the external game, that's when you can really boost your energy. That's when you can really pump it up. That's when you can really, okay? There will always be two sections or two portions to this reality, which is your individual mission, which is me in my lab as a quantum physicist, metaphorically doing all the work and doing the alchemy and being this wizard. That's my personal work, right? And then there will be the other piece of how does that affect people around you? How does that affect, how can you take that energy and then dish it out? There will always be those two pieces. And typically what will happen is if you're meant to be here in your lab, your external reality will get really easy because your guides need to accommodate this. Because this, the byproduct of this is you naturally help people. That's what happens. Because you're so busy in your lab concocting all these different potions, or however you mean to do it. There isn't one way, okay? Whatever you do, I just happen to be into magic and alchemy. I feel like it's what I've been doing many lifetimes. And then how is that then going to spill over into your life as a means of serving humanity and raising the collective consciousness? So once you figure out what your internal path is, once you figure out what tickles your fancy, then you will be positioned or situated in such a way where your physical reality is really easy. Really easy. Everyone who's dealing with like physical dramas and traumas right now, like the work stuff, I don't want to be at this job, I don't want to be in this relationship, why is this happening to me? That's all occurring to point you back inside so that you can align to your divine blueprint. And once you align to your divine blueprint, all those stories are going to fall away. That'll get really easy. Okay? And now you're going to be working in concert with your guides, with this group of ETs to further yourself. Because it's not just about the collective. It's about furthering yourself. And when contact is established, your entire energy shifts. Like I can even tell right now, I haven't even meditated today. Ever since this has happened to me, my energy is different. You can't unknow what you know. You can't receive a cheat sheet for an exam and convince yourself that the answers aren't what they are. You can't go into a test having a cheat sheet and going, oh, I'm going to pick B even though I know it's A. You can't unknow what you know. You just can't do that. So they told me that now that I've been contacted telepathically, and again, I've been telepathic for a long time. It's just that the quality of that changes when it actually happens for a way bigger purpose than you ever fathomed. Okay? This is about us reminding each other that we are all incredibly powerful creator beings. And it makes you more human once you do that. Like, once you realize that you're here to awaken your brothers and sisters, and you can awaken them, right? Because I asked them, like, they're like, Phil, you've been sharing so many videos. You wouldn't be doing that if it was a waste of time. And I'm like, true. They're like, that's because everyone deep down knows that they came here to be contacted. Everyone knows that they came here to be awakened. So when you know something and I look at you and I'm like, yo, like, this is me contacting you. Like, we're a part of this family. People can start to remember. They just have to stay cognizant. They just have to stick with you. They have to believe you. That's something else they're saying. You have to believe it. You have to become it. They're not more powerful than you. You are it. You are it. And from that space, you can ask for anything you need, anything you want to experience. Even through doing all these videos for you guys and meditating at night, I wasn't feeling satisfied enough, right? Like I was left, I was insatiable. It's like nothing can quench that thirst. Nothing could quench it. That's because there's more. There's always more. There's always more. And that's my personal piece, right? Like, there's more for me. Like, it's never going to end. They're in my head all day long now, but I feel very anchored, so please don't worry about me. But they're in my head all day long, and they didn't tell me that I would ever be a part of this. I've never had an interest in UFO or that community. Like, I know a lot of people are into, like, Corey Good and David Wilcock or Wilcock. I know a lot of people get into that. I've never been into that. I've always been more into, like, listening to channeling, right? Which is different. There are different factions within the community of awakening and ascension. So I never thought, it was never on my radar that I'd be contacted by this group. But now all the dots connect. They contacted me when I was 22. They said it wasn't time yet. They said, you're going to have to work for this. You're going to have to bring your body up to speed. You're going to have to raise its frequency so that we can eventually make contact and the collective is ready for you. Meaning that I'm not going to be placed in a hospital now if I talk about this, because the collective has augmented their consciousness level. And it's almost like I've even had, like, a very awkward or a very odd love-hate relationship with the gym all these years. Like, I'm there and I'm like, why am I here? I don't want to be here. Because it's kind of disturbing when you're trying to work out and your body's become so intelligent that it's telling you what to do, and you're like, oh my god, this is exhausting, can I just do a freaking bicep curl? They're like, no, we need you to do this with your toe, and we need you to do that with your pelvis, and we need you to do this, and now we need you to breathe this light in, this blue light in, right? So I've had a very love-hate relationship with the gym because it's been unlocking my DNA, but it's also been a very painful process because I don't think there are a lot of people doing this kind of work on a DNA level with a spiritual focus when they're at the gym. But they told me they needed to build my body because when I do these walks, I have to bring a lot of energy in, and sometimes I do a crazy back bend or I do really weird things to install these technologies. So these technologies can be installed by you once you get in tune with your body and you know how to breathe into your muscles, into your body, create a space, and then install that technology. But that's not important right now. Because again, this is going to look different for everyone. Okay, I've told you guys before, my best friend lives in Nebraska. He doesn't do any of the stuff I do, and he's super clairvoyant. Super clairvoyant. He hasn't been contacted yet, though. They just told me that. This is all happening for the purpose of contact, you guys. All of it. Contact may not be physical. However, and Liara will confirm this, the day after it happened to me, there was a light ship blinking at me. I have footage of it. Just, hi, yep, we know that happened to you yesterday, we're just confirming it. But it's going to look different for every single person. It might be telepathic. It might be that you feel like you're in a different dimension altogether. I call it a density of Earth because it doesn't feel like a dimension. It feels like you're on a different density of Earth, where you realize that you've been contacted and the people around you haven't. Like it's really mind-blowing. Some might have been, and then you'll be able to identify those. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else I need to share with you guys. I didn't think that my career would pivot like this, to be very frank with you guys. But I can't erase what's happened, and I understand all the events that preceded this. All of them. From when I was young to when I lost my mind when I was 22. Oh, this is interesting. I even went to a club with my friends when I was 16, and I felt like another being came in, and my eyes changed, and my friends were like, what's going on with you? And only now can I remember that I'm recollecting that it was me working with different beings and swapping consciousness. So once you're contacted, your entire life is going to make sense to you. Every single occurrence is going to add up. And you'll remember why you had to go through everything you went through. They're telling me not to say anything. They're telling me to just sit here because they're transferring this energy to you. Who are they? They are other beings. They can be your counterparts, meaning these fragments. But again, once you retrieve that fragment and Tetris it into your body, then you make room for more contact, right? So they can be fragments, they can be counterparts, they can be angelic structures, they can be ET groups. They have been with you your entire life. And they told me that they've been in the attic of my mind. That's like a code. In the attic of my mind. And every single thing that happens to us, you included, everything that happens to us is to divert our attention back to them, to ourselves, right? Which is why self-help is so important, because once you help yourself, then you're that much closer to contact. So they've been in the attic over here, and every heartbreak that you've had and every disappointment that you've had kind of left you in a state of disillusion where your reality shattered or your illusion shattered, and then you were forced to be alone and feel your emotions. And as you felt your emotions, they were like right there. Right there. And then a friend might have called you up and said, yo, let's go hang out. You're like, yeah. And they're like, no, we were right there. You were 1 inch away. So they're with you all the time. And there are levels to this game. So we first have to get in touch with ourselves, meditate a whole lot, explore your different imaginary or imaginal abilities, attach emotions to your imagination, everything I've taught before, right? Go out on a walk at night, work with your energy. Imagine that you have wings behind you and you're walking fearlessly unapologetically. Do little things like that. Start working with your imagination. Attach strong emotions, because you will soon see that those emotions, coupled with your frequency that you're holding at the time, sends out a very potent signal to whoever you want to. You have to be very specific. So they're emphasizing specificity is the key. What do you want? All right? And I couldn't comprehend why a few months ago I stopped doing webinars. I couldn't understand why some of my dearest friends dropped away. I couldn't understand. Like, I don't feel like doing webinars anymore. Yes, am I not making, like, every webinar was highly lucrative. I'm still doing really well financially. However, I gave up things that to the human mind would make no sense. To me, it made sense. My body didn't let me do them anymore. But at the time, I thought, okay, maybe I'm preparing for a next stage in my career, which that's true from one perspective, but I didn't anticipate this. They needed me to clear all the noise out so that they could contact me. My friends were distractions. I love my friends, don't get me wrong, and I'll happily play a game with them or go out for dinner. But the last month or so, the last month was with my friends, and then the last few months was I stopped doing webinars, and I'm just doing sessions and this and my membership program. They needed me to mute out all the noise. They needed me to be ready for this. Okay? I was supposed to go to Big Bear Friday to celebrate my friend Rex's birthday, and I didn't go, and I was a little disappointed that I didn't get to go, but the contact happened that day, right? So we don't always see these things. We're only shown once we have contact. So they are with you throughout the day. They are your associates. They're administering this contact protocol. And what's going to happen when you're contacted? Something in your energy is going to shift for good. I want to say that it's merely impossible to have judgment towards another human. And I've been really good at neutralizing my judgment over the years. But now I really have no judgment, like zero. There's nothing in me. It would be impossible for me to look at a fellow brother or sister and think anything negative ever. Because if someone's acting a certain way, they just haven't been contacted. They haven't awakened yet. That's all. And you can't fault them, because everything they're doing, including like the self-destructive behaviors, is all for the purpose of eventually being rerouted to this group. So the group is kind of driving you to do things. Right? You have the choice as to what that looks like. If you want to be a crackhead, you could be a crackhead. If you want to be a prostitute, you could be you get to decide. All that's irrelevant. But it's all happening because it leads to certain results that bring you back inside so that you can make contact. Okay? I don't even know what this video was about. I just wanted to share my contact experience, and I believe that this is the beginning of a very exciting time, and they've been encouraging me to stay connected to the space that I was in a few days ago. They also highlighted the importance of carving out your own dimension, meaning like you have to keep anything at bay that could potentially program you. Everything. You need to keep this dimension, like this beautiful sphere. You can think of it as a diamond or a crystalline sphere that's surrounding you. You can play with different visuals, angels enfolding you, whatever you want. You have to keep that intact. And then when you go out into your day, stay in that space. Be in your dimension. Don't be in the dimensions, because when you step out of your house, It's a shit show, like a circus of energies. What you want to do is start working with your field. And when you leave your house, you're not protecting yourself. This is not about protection, because nothing's really going to harm you, because it's all going to lead you back to them. This is about being aware that you're on the precipice or you're on the cusp of being contacted. And they're saying to me now, this is going to be happening increasingly. This is an unprecedented time on this planet. I don't know why I was chosen to now all of a sudden have this, but I can tell you that I still wasn't satisfied, and I'm still not satisfied. And that's what creates the impetus for further expansion. But this was meant to happen for me because I've been reaching a lot of people already, and now adding this little piece in there is going to blast it open for people. It's going to blast it open. You are a very important part of this equation, because until you have your own disclosure, then you're always going to be living in accordance with what mass consciousness expects of you. So the most important thing is you. Nothing else matters. The most important thing is you empowering yourself. The most important thing is you speaking your truth. When you don't speak your truth, you're remaining in an agreement of enslavement. You're allowing other energies to suppress you, to oppress you, to keep you in this very restrictive and constrictive space. Speaking your truth will automatically neutralize or annul contractual agreements. Okay? Being in your power, meditating, knowing that none of these beings are above you, but that you are them on this planet. Knowing that you have magical abilities at your disposal. That everything you need is inside. Everything. And once your Christmas tree lights up, meaning you're like, yup, I'm here. Like, I've been here since 2011, right? I know who I am. Once that happens, then you can call them. You can place a phone call. Hey, I'm ready for you. Boom. And your life just isn't the same anymore. Because this is bigger than us. But this is us. This is what we came here to do. They're counting on us to do this. Do you see? They're counting on us to do this. All right, this is a long video. Thank you guys for tuning in. I know that this video had a different energy about it, and that's okay. I'm still not like fully here, and I don't know that I'm supposed to be fully here yet. Meaning, I don't think I'm supposed to be focusing on my speech and like the different download and being. No, this is not what this is about. This is about us reminding each other, like, we're family, all of us. We are all twin flames. Every single one of us is a twin flame to each other. Oh, one more thing though. Discernment is probably of the most import right now, because without discernment, if you think that you have one twin flame, all this, you're not going to receive contact. They know that you're still polarized. They know that you still need to soften your edges and not try to put things in a box. Once you get rid of all the boxes, once you realize they were self-created, then your pipeline is clear, and then these new things can come down the pike. But they know, they want me to tell you this, they know when you receive high frequency energy, but your ego skews it. Your ego misconstrues it and tries to place a definition on it. They know that. So they're not going to contact you. First, you have to get rid of all these bricks, all these barriers, all these different borders within yourself. All right? They're polarized structures. You have to get rid of them. They can still be there, but you don't want to identify as them or with them. All right? You don't want to place too much importance on what you think is true, because what you think is true never ends. It's laughable in many ways. All right? I'm a perfect example. I thought that the truth was I'm supposed to give people downloads so that they can empower themselves and create the reality. That's still true, but I didn't know the other piece, that the truth is that there are other ETs working with us. And this is bigger than we ever imagined. So that's it, you guys. I'm not doing a lot of work right now, so I appreciate your donations. Thank you very much. If you decide to donate, if you have already, I appreciate you. If you would like to make a contribution, if you'd like to support my messages, if this is helping you remember, my link is Feel Good Life, feelgoodlife.com/donate, feelgoodlife.com/donate. And I'm sending you infinite love, infinite blessings. And I'm here to remind you that you are the ground crew. We are a family. We are a family. And we're here to do this together. Much love.